My name's Jack Harlan. I've been a long-haul trucker for over 20 years, running routes all across the states. I used to specialize in cross-border hauls, mostly out of Texas down into northern Mexico and back. It's not a job for the faint of heart. You've got endless customs hassles, miles of rigs baking under the blistering sun at ports like Laredo or Otay Mesa. And worst of all, those whispered horror stories drivers swap at truck stops. I stayed sharp, never pulled over for strangers unless they were legit cops or someone in real, obvious distress. I'd heard plenty about truck jacking ass down in Mexico, gangs blocking roads, faking breakdowns, then jumping out with guns and machetes. But that one night last November, it changed everything. It was a freezing November night. Pitch black and bitter cold. I just dropped off a load of electronics in a small town near Monterey. The cargo was worth hundreds of grand, so the company was always drilling caution into us for the return trip. I was in my familiar Kenworth T680, hauling an empty trailer back toward the Nogales crossing into Arizona. The highway was dead quiet around midnight, just my headlights slicing through the darkness and the faint crackle of CB radio chatter from other drivers. I liked that solitude. It kept me alert after long hours behind the wheel. Around tour. On a desolate stretch about 50 miles from the border, I spotted an old green van pulled over on the shoulder, hazard lights blinking orange, and a woman standing beside it, waving her arms like she was desperate. She looked maybe 30, long dark hair all messed up, thin jacket and jeans. She was clutching a blanket or something close to her chest. I eased off the gas, heart picking up speed. Golden rule for us road warriors: don't stop in the middle of nowhere, especially south of the border. But then she yells in English, voice shaking, "Help. Please. My baby sickie needs water bad." I peered through the windshield. In the van I caught a glimpse of a small shadow moving, maybe a kid. It was freezing out there. If there really was a thirsty child, I'm no monster. I've got 2 kids waiting back home in Texas. I always keep spare water bottles in the cab. Damn it, I muttered, flipping on my blinker and pulling over about 20 feet away. Kept the engine running. Doors locked, and grabbed my Glock 19 from the glove box. Legal carry permit in Texas, and I never crossed without it. I shouted out the window, "Got water right here." "Hold on, I'll bring it over." I hopped down with a couple big bottles, flashlight beaming the way. The night wind bit hard, carrying the dry dirt smell and distant dog barks from some far-off ranch. The woman approached, face pale under my headlights. This cloying, cheap perfume hit me like a wall, sickly sweet and fake. To this day, catching a whiff of it on the road sends chills down my spine. "Thank you, sir. My little one's so thirsty." Van got a flat, and my phone's dead. Her voice trembled, eyes fixed on the ground. I handed over the water but kept my distance. "Where's the kid?" I asked, suspicion creeping in. She flashed a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "He's asleep inside." I edged closer to check the van. Tires looked fine, no flat. My pulse hammered. Something was off. Then the back doors flew open, and a big guy leapt out. Black mask over his face, gleaming machete in hand. "Keys, asshole," he snarled. I spun around, heart exploding in my chest. Bolted for the cab, but the woman lunged, grabbing my jacket. I shoved her off hard. Then from the roadside bushes, another thug emerged, scarred face, swinging a long metal pipe. "Freeze," he barked in thick accented English. I went for my gun, but the machete guy was already on me. The pipe cracked down on my shoulder, agony like shattering bone. I crumpled, blood soaking warm down my arm. They rifled my pockets, snatched the keys. Sweet Trig Gringo once neared. I lay there on the cold dirt, trying to yell for help on the CB. But they smashed it. My truck roared to life and vanished into the night. Trailer in tow. They left me with the van, no kid. Just a setup. The woman climbed in, and they sped off down a side road. I bled out there for hours, pine on terror closing in. Thought about my family, wondering if I'd die in this Mexican desert. Dawn finally broke, and a Mexican fawn family in an old pickup spotted me. They stopped language barrier and all, but they got it. The old man bandaged me up best he could, gave me water, and drove me to the nearest police station. From there, U.S. Border Patrol got involved, and I ended up in a hospital in Tucson. Insurance covered the truck and empty load. Lucky break. Mexican cops investigated, but odds of catching them slim to none. Just another crew in the endless wave of highway bandits down there. I survived by sheer luck and a bit of caution, didn't pull up the close. Kept my piece handy. Docs said shattered shoulder surgery needed, months off the job. Now I stick to domestic U.S. runs. No more border crossings. But on those dark highways at night, I still see that green van in my mirrors. Once hauling through Texas in broad daylight, I glanced back and there it was. An old green van tailing me for damn near 20 miles. Speed up. It speeds up. Slow down. It stays glued. Finally pulled into a busy rest area. Jumped out to confront it and poof. Gone. Like it was never there. Was it real? Or just a ghost haunting my head? I don't know anymore. Don't stop for strangers. No matter how much they beg or cry. On these endless black roads, a good deed can get you killed. My name's Tyler Reyes. Back then, I was just 24. Green as hell with a brand new CDL burning a hole in my wallet. Barely 3 months fresh. Cucking had been my obsession since I was a kid, kicking around the dusty lots of Southern California. Watching those big rigs thunder down the highways. No boss breathing down your neck. Solid paychecks without rotting in some cubicle. It sounded like freedom wrapped in chrome and diesel. I shot applications everywhere and landed at this small outfit out of SoCal. Running loads between California, Texas, and Arizona. They snapped me up quick. But with a catch, 2 weeks riding shotgun as a trainee before they cut me loose solo. My trainer was this guy everyone called Matt, full name Mathis. But nobody used it. He was pushing mid-50 seconds. Tall and lean like a fence post baked by years under the desert sun. Skylark and leathery. A scruffy beard streaked with silver that never quite got trimmed. His eyes had this perpetual squint, like he was always half smiling at some private joke. But the smile never made it all the way up. Dude had 25 plus years behind the wheel. Knew every dusty shortcut and back road in the Southwest like the lines on his palms. The other drivers treated him like royalty, nodded when he spoke. Bought his coffee at Stubbs. Seemed legit. At first, yeah. It felt like hitting the jackpot. Matt wasn't big on chit-chat, but what he said counted. He drilled the basics into me hard. Full pre-trip walkthroughs. No skipping a single lug, not how to chain down loads so tight a tornado couldn't shift, and decoding those old paper atlases when cell signal drops dead in the canyons, tricks for dodging strict way stations, or spotting DOD traps from a mile out. This guy's gold. I'm set. Our final training hall was out of a warehouse in San Bernardino, headed to Dallas, a sealed 53-footer build, as miscellaneous used electronics. Shipper had locked it down themselves. No peeking allowed. Matt waved it off, happens all the time with regulars. Don't sweat it. We pulled out late afternoon. Guns blazing for a night run to beat traffic and hit delivery early. I wanna. We cleared the sprawl and hit those endless black stretches. Skirting the Arizona border, nothing but saguaro silhouettes and star-drenched sky. Out of nowhere, Matt flips on the blinker and veers off I-10 onto a rutted dirt track, snaking into a ghost town industrial park. Crumbling concrete skeletons of warehouses, windows punched out like empty eyes, weeds clawing through cracked asphalt. No streetleted. No signs of life, just pale moonlight bleeding over the ruins. My gut twisted. Hey Matt, why not push to that truck stop 30 miles up? This place gives me the creeps. He shrugged, voice flat. Ciao, kid. I know this hole. Zero interruptions. Sleep like the dead here better than those buzzing lots with idiots revving all night. We nosed the rig up against a half-collapsed floating dock, killed the engine, and drew the sleeper curtains. I tried to crash, but no dice. Wind moaned through twisted rebar like tortured souls, echoing off the empty shells. Then, crunch. Gravel under boots, faint but unmistakable. I shot upright, heart jackhammering, and parted the curtainous liver. Shadows flitting between the buildings, too purposeful for coyotes. I shook Matt hard. Man, someone's out there, swear it. He groaned, cracked an eye. You're jumpy. Rig settles in the cold. Metal pops. Sleep. You take wheel at dawn. I lay there rigid, eyes wide in the dark. All night, sporadic thuds from the trailer, soft, deliberate, like fingers testing seals or prying panels. My mind raced thieves. Worse. But Matt snored away unbothered. Dawn finally clawed over the horizon. We fired up and drove back onto the interstate. Matt at the helm, we scanning mirrors like a hawk. Around Tina. On I-10 outside El Paso, mirrors lit up to border patrol cruisers and a sleek black SUV. Lights strobing, closing fast. Matt's face went ashen, grip strangling the wheel, but he kept steady. Sirens wailed, pull over now. He eased onto the shoulder. They descended like wolves, agents spiraling out, rifles up, commands barking. Drug dogs circled frantic, baying at the trailer. Lead agent demands the seals. Matt's fingers trembled, passing the keys. Roll-up door rattles open, and the world tilts. Front pallets. Yeah, some beat-up T-verses and monitors, but stacked deep behind endless black-wrapped bricks, taped tight. Dogs went berserk. Agents slash one pure. Glittering white powder spills out. Cocaine. Street value north of 8 figures easy. Over 800 pounds. Cuffs. Snapped cold on my wrists alongside Matt's. Hauled to the station. Separate rooms. Lights blazing. Hours of the same loop, I don't know shit. Trainee. Day 12. Never loaded. Never touched it. Terror clawed my chest, visions of decades in federal orange. Life torched before it started. But the dash cam saved me crystal clear. I wasn't at the warehouse for loading, no signatures, but training forms, background spotless. After 48 hours of pure hell, sweating under interrogation lamps. Stomach knotted, they released me. Stern lecture, stay clear of that company forever. Matt. Real name Mathis Ricardo. Slammed with interstate and cross-border trafficking. 9 years hard time. CDL shredded for life. Word later trickled out he'd been slinging for years, grooming rookies as disposable decoys. Newbie eats the rap while he plays innocent. I still haul freight, but now only with the big boys' ironclad load protocols. Random audits. I personally crawl every trailer pre-seal. Eyeball pallets, snap photos. Shippers, bitch. Tough. Blind loads. Hard pass. That night in the ruins haunts me. Those footsteps, the taps, accomplices swapping cargo under moonlight. Matt knew the spot because he'd used it before. Trust is a luxury on these roads. One naive ride along can bury you. I clawed out with a second shot. Plenty don't. My name's Hank Morrison. I've been hauling freight for damn near 30 years, mostly long runs through the Rockies and the Great Plains. Dry goods, reefer loads, Sometimes heavy machinery from Chicago out to Seattle or back the other way from the West Coast to the Midwest. I love running at night the most. Daytime's a zoo. Cars everywhere, traffic jamming up. But night belongs to us long-haul boys. Empty roads, just the steady growl of the diesel and tires humming on blacktop. Montana's my home turf. Those dead straight highways cutting through endless prairie. Dark mountains looming on both sides. Stars so close you could almost grab him. Winter's L kill you quick. That dry, bone-chilling wind sweeping down from Canada can freeze a man solid in hours. If he's stuck out there. I've seen it plenty, rigs sliding on black ice, plunging off cliffs, or folks just freezing to death on the shoulder after running out of fuel in the middle of nowhere. It was one of those late November nights, about 7 years back. I was on highway to near Cutbank, less than 50 miles from the Canadian line. Breath freezing on the windshield, cold. Light snow falling, not heavy, but enough to make the road shine like glass. Dash clock read 3:12. CB had gone quiet hours ago, no other drivers awake on this stretch. Just me, my deep red Peterbilt 579, and a 53-foot trailer loaded with paper goods rattling behind. I had an old country station playing 80 seconds tunes when my headlights swept over a figure on the shoulder. Young guy, maybe early 20s, in a soaked denim jacket. Black hair plastered to his forehead. No hat, no gloves, thumb out waving hard. In 20 below temps, his clothes were dripping like he'd just crawled out of a river. I eased off the throttle, heart skipping a beat. Old rule echoing in my head, never stop for strangers, especially in the dead of night out here. But this stretch was desolate. Next truck stop over 70 miles away. Leave him, and come morning he'd be a frozen corpse. I pulled over, air brakes hissing on the slick pavement. Rolled down the window and yelled, "Hop and I'll get you to the next town. Hurry up, it's brutal out there." He didn't say a word, just nodded slow and came around to the passenger side. When the door swung open, a blast of icy air rushed in, carrying wet earth, rotting river mud, and something foul like a dead animal soaked too long. He climbed up and settled in. I glanced over, face ghost pale under the dash lights, lips purple, eyes sunk deep like black pits. Clothes, dripping, water pattering onto the rubber floor mat. But weird thing, no puddles spreading on the seat. Bone dry. What happened to you? Rig breakdown? How'd you get soaked like that? I asked, trying to sound casual. No answer. Just staring straight ahead, unblinking. I pulled back onto the road, shaking it off. Johnny Cash crooning on the radio. But the cab felt heavy, oppressive. I tried again. What's your name? Where you headed? Need me to call troopers or a tow? Nothing. Just slow, even breathing. Cold as wind through a crack. Unease creeping in. That rotten fish stink got stronger, like decaying river carcass. Glanced at the passenger mirror, he was still there, motionless. About 20 miles later, I turned to ask again. And the seat was empty. No sound, no trace. Seat dry, floor dry, smell gone like it never was. Heart pounding. I slammed the brakes, rig fishtailing on snow. Pulled fully off, flipped on all cab lights, checked everywhere, sleeper berth, floor, even popped the trailer doors. Nothing. Passenger door still locked from inside like I'd set it. Sat frozen for 10 minutes, hands shaking too bad to light a smoke. Told myself it was exhaustion. 3 days straight, nearly 2,000 miles, not enough shut-eye. Hallucination. Kept rolling. Hit a truck stop near Great Falls at dawn for breakfast and sleep. In the diner, local news on the wall TV. Marking an anniversary. Today marks exactly 15 years since the tragic accident on highway to near Cut Bank. On the night of November 18, 2008, 23-year-old Cody Whitaker was driving home late in his pickup when he hit black ice, went through the guardrail, and plunged into the Milk River. His body was never recovered despite weeks of searches. Authorities believe the current swept him away. The family still offers a reward for any information. Photo flashed. Young guy grinning in a graduation cap, exact face as my passenger. Coffee cup slipped from my hand. Scalding, but I barely felt it. Paid quick and bolted to the rig. Sat stunned in the cab for an hour. Thought it was a one-time thing. It wasn't. After that, he started showing up regular. Not just on highway to in Montana. Any dark, empty road I ran at night. Sometimes thumbing on the shoulder. Denim soaked. Hair matted. Sometimes already in the passenger seat when I'd wake from a catnap at a rest area. Once on I-90 through Wyoming's barren plains, I checked the sleeper mirror and there he was behind the curtain. Place no one could get to with the rig moving. I tried ignoring him, flooring it past, heart racing, eyes glued to mirrors. But on tired nights, weak, I'd pull over anyway. He'd climb in, silent as always, then vanish mid-run, leaving the cab ice cold and stinking of river what. The worst was 2 years ago, on the loneliest stretch of I-80 in Wyoming, what folks call the empty quarter, hundreds of miles from anything. Blizzard raging, visibility down 2 yards. Crawling along with fog lights on. He appeared right at the edge, waving like always. I swore not to stop, but the rig slowed on its own. Door swung open without me touching it. He sat there 50 miles, dead quiet. River death stench filling the cab. Cold so deep the heater on max couldn't touch it. I was shaking. Then, first time ever, he turned and spoke. Voice raspy, gurgling like water bubbling in his throat. "You can never leave here." I screamed, hit the brakes hard. Rig slid hundreds of feet, trailer whipping like it might jackknife. When we stopped, I whipped around, seat empty. But this time, different. On the windshield, condensation spelled out in wet finger streaks. NEVRLEAV. Wiped it frantic, but it reappeared on the side glass. Then the rear view, mirrors. More and more, like something writing from outside. I floored it out of there, wouldn't look back the rest of the run. Since then, I avoid night runs if I can. Take day shifts, lower pay, fighting traffic. But when deadlines or dispatch visit, he's there. Thumbing under headlights or staring from the passenger's seat with hollow eyes. One spot at a crowded rest area. Doors locked, curtains drawn tight. Morning. Pulling back. New message on the glass MSTILLHERE. Tried everything, new rig, different routes. Even quit for a year to work warehouse. Came back, he was waiting on those dark roads. Like he's part of the job now. The endless nights. The runs no one else wants. These days when I tell new drivers, they laugh, call it trucker's hallucination from sleep debt. Maybe they're right. Maybe it's all in my head. But I know better. On these black highways, some passengers never want off. And they won't let you go. Ever.